4th.
Now let's speak now to a mix of Jeremy Corbyn and Owen Smith supporters, including MPs and members of the public. Labour MP Kate Green is backing Owen Smith, whilst Andy McDonald, also a Labour MP, is backing Jeremy Corbyn. We also speak to members of the public. Graeme Smith, who is 61 and a salesman and is supporting Owen Smith. Julia Brosnan, who is 51 and a co-director of a social enterprise, is supporting Jeremy Corbyn. With us in the studio is Simon Hudson, who joined the Labour Party specifically so he could vote Jeremy Corbyn out, and Barbara Ntumy, who is a Jeremy Corbyn supporter. Meanwhile, John Paul Ennis, who is 19, is a committed Labour supporter but is undecided as to who to vote for in Labour's leadership election, as he feels both candidates are weak. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to go to Kate Green first of all and ask you what you made of last night's performances.
I thought you could see a real contrast last night between Jeremy, who's got big ideas but no plans to put them into practice, and real specifics from Owen about how he would mend our economy, about how he would invest in our NHS, and how he would deal with probably the biggest political challenge of our time, our negotiations around leaving the European Union. Real dividing lines that show Owen offering big solutions, clear leadership. Jeremy, I'm afraid, talking in slogans and platitudes.
But Jeremy probably had, yesterday at the hustings, most of the support there. He was being cheered, Owen Smith was being booed.
I was really shocked, actually, to hear Labour Party members booing when reasoned, thoughtful, careful debate was taking place. That's not the way we treat each other. We treat each other with respect in our party. And I do think that we've got to understand that there are many, many people in our Labour Party, many members, who are very concerned at the way divisions and hostility and intimidation is opening up between members. It really has to stop, and the lead for stopping that absolutely has to come from the leader. It has to come from the top.
So you blame Jeremy Corbyn for that?
I don't blame Jeremy for other people's behaviour. I do say it's the responsibility of the leader to call out that kind of bad behaviour, to make it clear that in no way will he tolerate it, and only if the leader speaks out can we be confident that people will listen and it will stop. OK,
I'm going to go to Andy McDonald next to find out what you thought of last night.
Well, I thought there were two very good performances, but I don't know if anybody's mind was changed in that hall or in viewing the proceedings. I think Jeremy started the evening well ahead, and I think he remains well ahead. I don't think anything has changed at all.
His leadership qualities have been repeatedly criticised. So what's the point of having lots of members if you have little chance of winning a general election?
Well, I think his leadership style is different to the leadership styles we've had in the past. But my goodness me, we've seen the build-up of a huge movement. We've got 550,000 people as members of the Labour Party now. It's the largest social democratic movement in Europe. There's an appetite and a readiness to embrace this agenda that Jeremy's offering. And I think it's there out in the community, and it's being embraced by people from all walks of life, and I'm really saddened that people who have embraced this agenda are being dubbed by terrible names and so on and so forth, leftists, Trotskyists and all the rest of it. It doesn't help. I agree with Kay. I think the name calling from wherever it comes has got to stop. We've got to be more respectful and courteous and comradely to one another. I'm shocked at how some elements of the debate have degenerated, and I'm sure she would agree with me that has got to change, and we've got to be more courteous and civil towards one another.
OK, Graeme Smith, what do you think about what you've just heard?
Well, we've just witnessed a civil war in the Tory party, with all the leading members fighting against one another, and yet we're 14 points behind. We should be 14 points ahead. We have no leadership. Corbyn has managed to divide the party. The Parliamentary Labour Party doesn't follow his lead. They've put a vote of no confidence down. Now, Owen Smith can unite the party, and he can lead us forward. And I double underline the word lead. Corbyn's not a leader. He's a critic.
He's a leader, but what do you say then to people who say, but look at the Labour membership and how it's dramatically increased because of him?
well, is it because of him, or is it to use him? Now, some of the people that we've seen in who are joining the Labour Party, I don't think really belong there. I feel they'd be better off somewhere else. And so I doubt it. We've got to appeal to the voting public. We've got to win a majority in the House of Commons. And Corbyn cannot provide us with that. He cannot even get the support of the Labour Party in the House of Commons.
OK, Simon, what do you think about that? Corbyn can't get the support of MPs and he can't win a general election.
Well, that's right. I think the problem here is division, as everyone keeps mentioning, and the solution is unity. And that's what I look for in a leader, someone to unite. And the qualities of that, you know, is passion and taking responsibility. And that's what I see Owen Smith. That's what I saw last night. That's not what I see in Jeremy Corbyn.
Has that always been the case for you? Have you recently come to that conclusion? When did you make your mind up?
No, in the last year. I mean, like, I've seen us fall behind in the polls. You know, I'm a Labour Party voter. I sort of recently joined the party, and I want to see this party in power. That's why, you know, nothing's going to happen unless we win power. And the leader is so important in that way. To get the unity in the parliamentary party is essential. I find it amazing that that's not the first thing that people think about.
And what do you think about, we've just heard the Labour Party being described as, you know, this civil war that's going on within it, to outsiders looking on. What do you think about that? How damaging is it?
It's very damaging. We've seen, you know, somebody mentioned this, you know, the new nasty party, one of the union members. This is a disgrace, really. This is a party about comradeship and inclusivity, and the leader should mirror those. And I believe Owen Smith will do that.
OK. John Paul, you're undecided.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why? Why you're undecided?
Well, basically, I think over the past year we've seen that Jeremy Corbyn's leadership is a bit questionable with the anti-Semitism row, and also with the fact that in the shadow cabinet they've resigned. But then I don't really know if Owen Smith's the man that represents me, or as a young person in Labour.
Why not?
I don't really agree with a lot of his ideas. So I think with the referendum result, I think yesterday in the debate, Jeremy Corbyn was a lot more positive around it, whereas I think Owen Smith was a bit of a referendum denier.
Yeah.
And he said that we need a second referendum rather than trying to look positively and moving forwards.
I think Jeremy Corbyn's point was, we've had the result, we need to go with it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. OK. And who did you support a year ago?
I didn't vote for Jeremy Corbyn.
Sorry?
I didn't vote for
You didn't vote for Jeremy Corbyn. OK, that's what you'll tell us.
Yeah.
Barbara, what do you think?
I get very concerned when people blame where the Labour Party are is entirely on Jeremy. I mean, I think, yeah, definitely Jeremy has to take responsibility because he has been the leader for the past 11 months. But I think if we look further back, because this is not happening in a vacuum, right? We look further back into Ed Miliband's leadership, and if you look at the data, which I do a lot of because I'm a politics student, just graduated, Ed Miliband consistently lost Labour a lot of support, and if we had followed that trajectory, we'd be a lot worse than we are now in terms of under Jeremy's leadership. But the problem about saying that Jeremy's not the unity candidate is actually there is a difference in politics. Whether people want to accept that or not, there really is. And the reason why we are at the current place that we are right now is because people who have disagreed with Jeremy's politics have decided to force this leadership election on us. So when we talk about unity, who really truly is the unity candidate when this leadership election has been forced on us on people who don't agree with Jeremy's politics? As opposed to saying, we might not necessarily agree 100% with you, but let's think about ways in which we can work together in order for Labour to win power. And this is the problem with saying that Jeremy's not the unity candidate, because all he has sought to done in terms of his shadow cabinet, including all the people that resigned, who have very different politics and very different voting record to him, he has sought to work with those people, and it's those people who have, in a huff, thrown their toys out of the pram and forced us into this thing that we're in now, as opposed to actually taking the fight to the Tories.
What's the appeal of Jeremy Corbyn to you?
The appeal of Jeremy Corbyn to me is that he's somebody that cares. He was an MP of my university, and in 2012,
where did you go to university?
London Metropolitan, and in 2012, when Theresa May revoked our licence and threatened to deport, you know, over 2,000 international students, Jeremy Corbyn was with us in the streets. Jeremy Corbyn was in Parliament fighting for those students to be able to stay, and that's why I believe in him. He says what he says, and he's going to do what he says. And he's actually brought so many people into into the Labour Party is vibrant. It's, you know, it's exciting. I was at my CLP yesterday, we nominated Jeremy, and it was comradely, you know, people who agree and disagree. There was no shouting, there was no heckling. I was actually really disappointed that my MP decided to call 2 vans of police outside the meeting. Now, I felt intimidated going into that meeting. That's not okay. And I think that, you know, even if 500,000 people don't go out there, at least half of those people, we're the people that are going to go out, knock on the door and convince people to vote Jeremy and vote the Labour Party into power, and I think that's really important.
So what do you say to people who say, but listen, he's a bad leader? His policy, you might agree with his policies, but he's not going to get elected.
He is going to elected. I mean, when Jeremy started, nobody wanted to nominate him. We had to force people to nominate him. Nobody thought he would win. Yet again, he did it. So this is the thing we're saying. You know, people need to get on board. He has been elected leader. He is likely to be elected again. There is a mandate there. I think instead of people, you know, causing this, you know, this frustrating time that we're in, people need to get behind him, make suggestions. What are the things that you think that Jeremy should be doing and could be doing better? Make those suggestions so we can move the party forward. Because the thing is, loads of people are behind him. Just because you're not behind him doesn't mean that we have to destroy the whole party for that. And I don't think that Jeremy has brought division. Jeremy's politics has always been his politics. People have disagreed. The problem is now, because he is in leadership, people don't want to support him, even though they have a difference. And I think that this is the problem. This is why we don't have unity in our party. It's not because of Jeremy. It's because other people are not willing to put that aside and say that this person has been elected. Let me look at ways in which I can work with them in order to move Labour into power.
Okay, I'm going to read out some messages that have come in. This tweet from Wendy: Jeremy has re-energised the electorate. The PLP are a disgrace, not supporting him. A text has come in from Phil. Jeremy Corbyn is more like a union rep. He hasn't got what it takes to run a country. And an email from Audrey: this man isn't a leader that MPs want to follow. One more tweet from Lynn: I was just a voter but joined the Labour Party because of Jeremy Corbyn. At last, someone who speaks for me. He can win. Keep them coming in. Hashtag Victoria Live to let us know what you think. I want to hear from Julia next. Now, you've heard everybody else's opinions on this. What do you think about what you've heard so far?
Well, I agree with Barbara, I think it was, who just spoke about the fact that it is really the other people, the challengers who've actually brought about all these divisions. It's not Jeremy Corbyn. If Owen Smith believes in Jeremy Corbyn's policies so much, why doesn't he work with him? I mean, Owen Smith did not vote for Jeremy Corbyn in the leadership elections when they were happening last year. So why is he? What it looks like to me is that he's a very opportunist politician. He's very polished, you know, and he gave a good performance last night, but he, as it seems to me, he's seen the territory that Jeremy Corbyn has, all the support that he's got, and he's now suddenly, you know, a massive socialist, and he's moving in on those policies. But that doesn't fit with his background. And I think whatever you can say about Jeremy Corbyn is that he has stayed true to what he believes in, and he has championed very, very unpopular policies and very unpopular causes, you know, because he believes in them. And what has happened is that people have moved, and now a lot of people are now agreeing with Jeremy Corbyn and are behind him, and it looks like Owen Smith is moving in on his territory.
So what do you then think about far left figures who want to join Labour if Corbyn is re-elected?
Well, all these far left figures, I mean, really, I think the far left, you know, such as they are, would be very, you know, pleased to hear that everybody thinks they've got thousands and thousands of members. I mean, if anybody has ever been to any far left meetings or knows anybody on the far left, it literally is like 5 people in a room. You know, they're lucky if they get 25. There are not thousands and thousands of people. I mean, where are they? We've never seen them. It's just a myth. And I think in terms of Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, he has been monstered, he has been insulted, he has been spat upon from all sides, all the establishments, all the media and his own party. And he has shown leadership qualities in his resilience and bravery in standing up to that.
All right, I want to get a response from Kate Green to what you've just said. Kate?
Well, last night it was Owen who was being booed by party members. It wasn't Jeremy who was being vilified. And I think we've all got to treat each other with respect in this contest. I also think that what's really important this argument isn't about policies and politics. It's about competence. It's about who can unite our party in Parliament so we can take on the Tories, who are doing immense damage to our communities, our families and our country. And Jeremy is failing to do that. He's letting the Tories get away with it. He's giving Theresa May a blank cheque on Europe so that she can negotiate away all our workers' rights. He's allowing the NHS to descend into crisis with waiting lists lengthening and money running out without laying a finger on Jeremy Hunt or Theresa May about it. We need strong opposition in Parliament. Jeremy isn't delivering that. MPs feel hopeless and depressed and demoralised at the lack of leadership. This isn't an argument about politics. It's an argument about being able to do the job. Jeremy can't do it, and Owen can and will.
But leadership, can I just say, Kate,
Yeah,
leadership is not just about one. It's not just about one person. I mean, people have to get behind a leader. And you talk about,
That's
nobody
true.
holding the Tories to account.
That's true, but we have to
let you two,
believe in
maybe you
the
can have
leader.
this conversation offline because we have run out of time.